Hi and welcome to this week's Sim Racing News Roundup, where once again we take a look at all of the sim racing news that has hit over the course of the last week. As always, if you want to make sure you keep up to date, do like and subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to be notified when new videos get uploaded. So, kicking things off first of all, we have Assetto Corsa Competizione. Yes, we do. It's version 1.8, which has been out on PC for a little while now, but we're finally getting the console release of it on September the 29th. So those of you playing on console will now finally get the same version 1.8 that PC players have had for quite a while. So this basically improves the tyre model quite significantly, puts in place a 400Hz physics engine, and gives you extended gameplay settings. And as I say, there's a whole raft of physics changes in there which are long overdue for console now, because just checking the notes here, which I'll leave a link to in the description down below, this actually hit PC back in November of 2021, so it's long overdue, being perfectly honest. So your patience for console players has finally been rewarded. Keep in mind, I believe this is only hitting next-gen consoles. It's not hitting previous generation ones, so purely next-gen ones. Moving on from Assetto Corsa Competizione, BeamNG has had a huge update. I mean, an absolutely massive one. It's far too much to go through in detail on the weekly news roundup, so again, patch notes down below in the description, but the highlights of it are brand new remastering of a whole swathe of vehicles, including the Ibishu Covert, which now has a mid-engined rear-wheel drive model, which is absolutely brilliant. So it's kind of like your old-school rally cars where they made the mid-engined. Looks really good as a result. There's also been a huge amount of work right the way across the title with PBR shaders, which has significantly improved how well BeamNG looks, but also seems to have optimized it quite a bit in terms of performance on the graphical side of things. Now, keep in mind, this is still going to be a hefty workout of a title for your CPU. Just purely what's going on with the soft body physics in there is always going to mean that's the case, but it now looks and runs a lot better from a graphical point of view than it did previously. And if you haven't had a chance to have a look at BeamNG in a while, do go and have a look at the patch notes, and it's well worth reinstalling it if you've not played around on it in a while, because it's quite a significant change, this one. And in a not massively surprising news, a few days after that dropped, there has been a hotfix that's gone out for it. So it doesn't tweak a huge amount. This fixes a few little bits and pieces that needed tidying up post-patch, and it's no real surprise given how big an update and a patch for this was. By the way, one of the sneaky things you can do on here, the career mode button still says coming soon, but if you go down to it, and I believe you click on it about 6 times, it will take you into a beta of the career mode, and you can have a look at how that's shaping up. They have said that the final release career mode is probably going to look nothing like this at all, but it's giving you a kind of hint of the direction that they're going in. So again, one well worth checking out if you are a BeamNG owner. So do go and take a look at that. We've then had an update for RaceRoom. So this is mainly just a fairly small update, stroke patch. It's tidying up a few things, mainly around the physics and default setups for some of the vehicles, and tweaking a bit of the force feedback, particularly slower speed oversteer, and improving that and tidying up a few of the tracks. So nothing major. Go take a look at the patch notes for that one. We've then got Ian Bell rearing his head once again. So after stepping down from Slightly Mad Studios about a year ago, he has promised a return to video game development and hinted at it a few times, but now he's basically said that he's going to produce a follow-up to the GTR series. Now the GTR series effectively had 3 titles in its run: GTR, GTR2 and GTR Unleashed, I think it was called. I should really know because that's the footage that you're watching at the present moment. And we've long had hints of a GTR 3, but it's predominantly turned out to be vaporware. I mean, it's supposed to have been coming for well over a decade now. But Ian Bell was heavily involved in the original GTR title because it itself started life as a mod for EA's F1 2002, but ended up becoming a fully fledged title, and then Simbin effectively transitioned into Blimey Games, and they then transitioned into Slightly Mad Studios, etc, etc. So a lot of things basically came out in the meantime, and it should be quite interesting. I mean, it does have the usual caveat around anything that's got Ian Bell's involvement in it. I'm really a big fan of the Madness engine and what's happened on that. I don't think we're going to see a relaunch on the Madness engine here. A lot of people have been focused on how much previous GTR titles centred heavily around the FIA GT Championship, but as a few people have said over on GT Planet, and I happen to agree, if you look at the last GTR release, GTR Evolved, that was kind of much more focused around a slightly wider range of stuff, and was actually probably closer to a kind of mashup of RaceRoom and what the Project Cars titles turned into in terms of its overall content and kind of track selection. So I'm hoping they lean more into that than the pure GT, because we are a bit awash with pure GT titles or titles with a lot of GT content in them in the marketplace at the present moment. So if they do lean more into that kind of RaceRoom stroke Project Cars approach, it's interesting, and I'm looking forward to hearing more about what comes out on this one. It's just, as always, I will take what Ian Bell and the Bells say with a fairly big pinch of salt in that regard, but it's certainly one that's got me interested. We've then got some more news on Dakar Desert Rally, because we are getting close to the release for Dakar Desert Rally, and we've now got details of what's going to come in the Deluxe Edition, which gives you the base game plus the Season Pass, and basically you're going to get some historical content if you've gone for the Deluxe Edition, with which you'll get the DAF Truck Twin Turbo and the Peugeot 405 Turbo 16, so a couple of classics there from the Dakar, and they've also now said that the Deluxe Edition, or rather the Season Pass that comes with it, and I assume will be purchasable separately, you'll get 5 future DLC packs which will have new vehicles, new map and 2 new rally events in there. The DLC, by the sounds of it, will be sold as a standalone, but what we'll also get in here is also a discounted price if you buy the Season Pass. So early October this one comes out, I think around about the 4th of October, and I'm really looking forward to Dakar Desert Rally. I enjoyed Dakar 18, as I've mentioned in previous videos, so I am looking forward to this one. Taking a turn for a more arcade-focused side of things, Art of Rally has finally got its new Indonesia stage. So that's landed today, September the 22nd. It's said to be coming soon for consoles, but nothing firm in that regard at the present moment, just a coming soon in regard to that. They've also hinted that there's going to be a new stage in the future, or rather a new location in the future. They've not said where it is, other than it will be in the Southern Hemisphere. but with Indonesia we get a new location, we get, I think it's 6 stages there, some new music tracks to go with it, and a whole host of other new stuff. And it's well worth noting, if you haven't picked up Art of Rally yet, at the present moment, that's 40% off over on Steam. I don't know about consoles, I haven't checked for them, but it's down to just under £12 on Steam. An absolute bargain for that price, considering the fact that all the DLC so far, I believe for the future, has come out FOC, so well worth it. We've then had a sneaky new title land, or rather coming soon. Now again, there's a demo for this early October, around about the same time as Dakar, I think, around about the 4th of October, with a launch scheduled for the winter of this year. It's called Rev to Vertex. It's a Togu racing title set in and around Hong Kong. It's supposed to be aiming for very high levels of accuracy, heavily customizable cars. It certainly, from the video they put out, looks really good in terms of realism, and you know, true to life approach, and so it should do, because the system requirements they put out for it are, to say the least, fairly hefty, particularly in their recommended settings. Their recommended settings include, as a minimum, an i7 11700, memory recommended 32 gig, and graphics an RTX 3080. So that's fairly hefty. Certainly I'm not going to manage that. I do, however, manage to make the minimums requirements, which is an i5 4200 with 16 gigabytes of RAM and a GTX 1060. So I'm a little bit above that in a couple of areas, so I should be able to get it running, but potato friendly this title isn't. So I certainly want to see how it performs in terms of the demo, and what kind of price it pops out for in the end of the year before I lay down any money on that, given those minimum specifications. It's, yeah, demanding to say the least. We've also then had an update for Circuit Superstars. So this is a hotfix. If you remember, they put out a big summer patch a little while ago, and this is just tidying up a few bits and pieces around that, mainly stopping lost progress bugs and a few other bits and pieces. Again, patch notes down in the link below. And then we've had news of a new high-end wheel and pedal set coming out. Now this one's come as a bit of a surprise, because we've had Thrustmaster teasing us for absolutely bloody ages that they're going to be announcing a direct drive wheel, and they're teasing it, and I think it's now November or December they're going to finally unveil it. And Logitech have beaten them to the punch in a surprise move this week. They've said, here you go, here's our new 11Nm direct drive wheel and pedal set. Now, the pedal set looks okay, I'll be perfectly honest. It's load cell, but it doesn't look like it's anything particularly to write home about. The wheel, I will admit, does look fairly good, but it is pricey. It's £1,000 for the wheel, and I think around about £350 for the pedal set, and that's a lot of money to invest in a wheel from a manufacturer who have no previous pedigree with direct drive wheels. So it's an interesting one. I certainly am not going to be laying out the close on £1,400 that's required for it. You know, when you can pick up the likes of Moser Force feedback wheels for significantly less than that, and that's a company which does have a good, strong pedigree of producing really good high-end direct drive wheels at a significantly lower price point than that. The obvious thing is the Moser wheels are PC only, whereas the Logitech, you can get it in PC/PlayStation or PC/Xbox versions, and I am aware that a certain amount of that price is going to be the license cost that they have to pay to Sony and Microsoft respectively to be able to use the drivers so that they work on those platforms. But it's still an awful lot of money for what is basically a wheel from an unproven manufacturer in terms of direct drive. So we will wait and see. The wheel's getting good reviews at the present moment, the pedal set less so, and it's a bit of an iffy one that you can't mix and match them easily with other stuff, particularly if you want to use it on console. But there we go. Now, onto the footage and what you've been watching throughout this. So, I was kind of inspired by the fact that we got chatting over on GT Planet this week about GTR Revival, as the new Ian Bell project is being called, and I went back to play a little bit of GTR 2, but then mainly started focusing on, as I say, GTR Evolution, which was available as a standalone. I'm going to kick myself when I go and check if I've got that name of it wrong, by the way, because I've been calling it GTR Evolution and it might not have been called that. I really should have checked beforehand. In fact, let me just fire up Steam now and have a quick check. No, I am right, GTR Evolution. Thank goodness for that. So I ended up playing GTR Evolution, which was available as a standalone title or as an expansion pack for Race 07, and had a really good range of content, as I spoke about earlier on here. And just really messing around on it. And I mean, the footage you're looking at here is it running at 4K. Yes, it's got a few of the kind of updated patches that have come out and the mods that have been launched to tidy it up and make it look a bit better, but it still stands up. Like, the force feedback's nothing to write home about. Graphically it's not that great, but given its age, it's still a surprisingly solid package with a lot of content that you can pick up ridiculously cheap. And don't forget, you can mod it. So that's why, amongst other footage you've been watching, our mods this week come for Race 07 stroke GTR Evolution. So the track, what we've been looking at here, is one that, now, again, you may correct me if I'm wrong on this, but to the best of my knowledge has only appeared for Race 07 stroke GTR Evolution, and that is the Birmingham Super Prix. This is a bit of a very UK specific track here. Due to various UK laws, road track street circuits are incredibly rare in the UK. So the Birmingham Super Prix, which was held for a 5-year period, and was British Touring Car Championship and Formula 1300, if my memory serves me, held on the city streets of Birmingham for a 5-year period of time, was so unique and holds a lot of strong memories for people, myself included. So it's great to be able to go for a drive around that particular track and layout in Race 07, and I'll leave a link to that down below. It's on Race Department, as is the car pack that I've picked one of the cars from, and that is the AL Super Touring Seasons update 2.6, which basically gives you a whole raft of super touring cars for Race 07 as well, which nicely complements the later WTCC stuff that's in there. And yeah, it was good fun going back to Race 07 and GTR Evolution. They don't set the world alight by any stretch of the imagination, but if you've got a computer that's a bit of a potato and you want something to cheaply be able to sim racing with a good amount of mod content available for it as well, that is actually a fairly solid title given its age, you won't go far wrong with Race 07. You know, for some of us it's a bit of a nostalgia hit. For other people, you know, this is a good cheap introduction to sim racing, particularly if you're not really that interested in racing online and you mainly want to mess around with stuff, you know, against the AI. You know, buy this, download it, head over to Race Department, create an account, download a load of mods for it. You're going to have great fun. And if you pick this up and GT Legends, you know, you're laughing. You've got so much content to keep you busy, and it will run on very happily on basic PCs, no problem at all. I mean, what you're watching here, this is 4K gaming on a GTX 1660 Ti. 4K gaming at 60 frames per second, no problem whatsoever. You may notice that the VSync is off on it, and that's purely because of the way the physics engine works, and you really can get some physics lag if you turn VSync on. But it's a good fun title to mess around in, and one I enjoyed revisiting over the course of this week. So that's everything for this week. As always, if you've enjoyed this video, please do hit the like button, and if you want to see more content of this type, please do subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to be notified when new content gets uploaded. Thanks very much for watching once again. Take care and have a great week, and I'll speak to you soon. Thanks. Bye.